Hello and welcome to today's video. My name's Haley, and this is a final flowering on the 10th gene key, which is called Being at Ease. Today we're going over the SIDDHI state of being. And I think if you saw the last video, the name of this chapter is called Divine Laziness, which I love. I think of a bunch of goddesses laid out being fed grapes, and right next to that I made a note that says, oh thank God. Divine laziness, oh thank God. And that is how I feel. Oh thank God. There is a way to be lazy and also maintain one's divinity. I think laziness has such a negative connotation. But once again, in reading this title, Divine Laziness, I feel that's actually the perfect way to describe surrender. Surrendering to God's will, to Source's plan, to love's path, to your own evolution, however you want to frame this, is to stop forcing things, stop trying to analyze, figure out, push, control, and rather sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. That's what they say on the roller coasters, I think. And then what do they say in the movie theaters? Sit back, relax, and enjoy your movie or something like that. But I feel it's this energy of divine laziness is a very eloquent way to paint the concept of surrender. So let's get into this. Let's see how divine laziness is connected to the SIDDHI state of being and if it ends up leading into surrender. I actually do not remember because I read this chapter, I think like 2 weeks ago. Usually what I do is, if you've seen any of these videos, you see I mark this thing up, like there's no tomorrow, because there's only the now. And then I speak light to whatever pops out at me. And I've been reading ahead quite a bit. I've been reading faster than I can make these videos actually, so I read this chapter a few weeks ago, and we'll see what pops out at me. So he says, in the 10th siddhi, the differentiated self-spontaneity dissolves into a higher mirror of the third phase, in which constructs of your search for self-knowledge end. So that's a very fancy way to say, when you're embodied in the SIDDHI state of being, you stop the thirst, the quench for self-knowledge. You stop self-obsessing about how to, spiritually evolve yourself, get to the next rank in where you work. You stop obsessing over how you look or how other people make you look. You stop this involution energy, this shadow state frequency, and instead all of your presence is pouring outward. Also, I'm holding 2 pens that are red, which is interesting. I really don't like red pens. Anyway, yes, in the SIDDHI state, being implies you're being here. You're presently in your reality. You're really actually seeing the way the light reflects off of the pen. You're really actually listening, not just hearing when people talk to you. Listening implies that you're not only hearing them, you're also giving them your attention with your eyes, and then you're taking action and speaking in accord to what they just said. When you're truly being, truly embodied within the SIDDHI state, there is no room for your consciousness to think about itself, for your consciousness to be self-critical, self-judgmental, self-obsessed, trying to plot or plan. How can I make me feel safer? All of your energy is in this giving frequency. You're giving the now moment your full present attention. Sounds pretty easy, right? Whoa, as I said that, there was like a little 444. So, and then he mentions that also everything at the SIDDHI level dissolves. That means the self dissolves, I keep saying that wrong. The self dissolves, the not self, whatever that is, the mind, the form, the purpose, the meaning, the existentialism, the drive, the motivation, whether it be fear or some other self-obsessed energy. Everything disappears and dissolves into one. Duality comes back to oneness. Here's the friendly little reminder that I usually pop into all SIDDHI state videos, that specifically the SIDDHI state videos, we're talking about the concept of oneness, which is ironic because I'm utilizing this matrix, this concept of duality, the limited confines of the English language, to try to describe something that's not meant to be described. So this video is for pure purpose of play. This isn't really try to figure it all out and get so serious and like drive myself mad because this isn't making sense. I don't understand the SIDDHI state of being. It's not meant to be completely understood with the mind. This video is more meant to be felt in the heart. So I just want to say that, because as I even walk myself through this, I have to giggle because it's so simple, it's complicated, if that makes sense, which it doesn't, because it's a paradox like all SIDDHI states. In the 10th siddhi, there is no sense of I, there's no ego, there's no name, there's no label, there's no job I identify with, there's no style of clothing I identify with, there's no favorite foods, there's no hierarchy of people. Oh, I like Stacy more than I like Amy. In order to have preference, there needs to be an I, there needs to be an ego. And right here, he says there is no I. Once again, there is no duality, it's all oneness. There is only pure consciousness expressed as being. And so this kind of makes me think about, if you who's watching this has ever followed on Eckhart Tolle's journey, he talks about how when he kind of knocked himself into enlightenment, he sat on a park bench for something around like 2 years and was completely enamored by the moment, completely satisfied, satiated, present, effortlessly. And this is what this makes me think of. Completely content with even the most mundane of things, even if it looks as though the individual is engaged in pretty much nothing. Even the inactivity of sitting on a park bench is blissful if you are embodied in this SIDDHI state of being. For 2 years, he did this. I think it might have been more even, but I should brush up on his story. Very interesting fellow. But yes, only pure consciousness expressed as being, meaning there's no preference of a place you'd rather be. Everything is perfect as it is. It's a total acceptance of reality in every single moment. Yes, that means even if you're injured, or even if you're not being stimulated and you're doing nothing. So this is interesting to think about. And in addition to other spiritual thought leaders like Eckhart, I think I will offer you a contemplation. Who in your life do you know, whether it's someone removed, like a spiritual thought leader, or someone in your personal life that you think, wow, they are pretty peaceful. They're pretty content with being wherever they are, pretty much 24/7. Who is someone you can look up to even just a little bit more than the current level that you're at? So, for instance, I have a friend, and every time I see him, I think, wow, this guy is just living in the moment. And he's not enlightened. He's not maybe Eckhart Tolle's level. Nonetheless, I would still say he's more advanced than me, which is why thinking about him, putting my energy towards him, my admiration, is beneficial, because it's a form of praise and gratitude in his direction, sending good energy. And it's also reminding my own mind that there is a level that's just a little bit in front of me that's attainable. Because something else I'll just point out, which I know I get kind of lost in the sauce with occasionally, is like, oh, how am I ever going to get to Eckhart Tolle's level? Like, what? How? Like, how? And I think when it's such a big gap of like, I'm here and this guy's enlightened, or I'm on this part of my spiritual journey, or whatever journey you're on, right? Spiritual or not. Everything's spiritual. But yeah, just getting really almost put down by how much there is to go. So I think brainstorming someone in your direct reality that you know, that you find inspirational, is really helpful. Because even coming just an inch closer to embody the kind of patience and presence my friend has is success, is moving in the right direction, is evolution, and is a positive gain. And as I'm saying all this, I realize I'm talking about linearity. Once again, the ego kicking in. Welcome. This is the trickiest thing to talk about because it's not meant to be talked about. Once again, it is meant to be felt. But yes, brainstorm some people you find inspirational purely because of their quality of presence and being. So he starts to talk about the difference between a bodhisattva and an arhat. Arhat. I totally said that wrong. Arhat. I might still be saying it wrong. Anyways, the difference is both of these individuals are enlightened, and the bodhisattva, once reaching this state of self-realization, there is no end to life. There's a continually evolving state of flowering. The bodhisattva's vow is essentially to be of service forever, helping others toward a state of liberation. And then the arhat is also an enlightened individual who represents pure being. So embodying this 10th siddhi of being. And the arhat is at a state in which evolution no longer exists or matters. The whole universe is also enlightened because I'm enlightened. This is what the arhat says. There's nothing more to be done. And something really interesting that Richard Rudd notes here is he says that these days when we discuss these two enlightened beings, we talk about how the bodhisattva is much more desirable. Oh, it's selfish to be an arhat. And he notes how this is actually derived from our Western mind and our obsession with doing and our inability to sit still. Both are equal because both are enlightened. Doing nothing or doing everything, same difference. So I think that's interesting. And once again, the 10th siddhi is the embodiment of the arhat. Everyone is enlightened because I'm enlightened. I only see light. Imagine that. I only see light. There's nothing else to be done. It's a lightness to it. Oh, whoa! Okay, I just said that, and then the next thing I have underlined says, a great lightness is born. Yes, a great lightness is born. And there's a great humor concerning life itself. Life starts to seem silly and just more like a game, like a fun game, not like a existentialist hole. Because all the work is done. All there's left to do is be or play. To the arhat, life is meaningless. Time is an illusion, and evolution itself is a game. So once again, just reiterating, there's no differentiation in which one is better. There's no sense of hierarchy in any siddhic state. The bodhisattva sees so much more purpose to have a deeply focused mission on helping others, whereas the Arhat sees nothing left to do except be. And this is because the Arhat is breaking the identification with form. And it's this person is quite literally experiencing every single thing, person, place, object as itself, as self, right? There's no duality. Once again, there's a merging, which, envision as you may. It's very hard to to truly understand this, because in order to fully understand acidic state, you must experience it. That actually goes for most things in life. To truly understand anything, you have to derive the wisdom via your own embodied experience. Even the loftiest ambitions are ultimately meaningless. And this person also sees the beauty in the game of evolution, but has no alternative but to undermine it. Being undermines everything. It does not allow identification with anything outside of the wonder of the present moment. There it is. This is perhaps the most important line in this whole chapter. It does not allow identification with anything outside the wonder of the present moment. So what this means is the Arhat, am I saying that right? Arhat, yes. Sitting here is here, staring at this curtain that you can't see because you're over there and I'm over here. And, but once again, if you're the Arhat, there's no you're over here, I'm over here. It's one, they're looking at the pens. They're here feeling the texture of this. Their mind is not wandering, thinking about their neighbor Jeff and how they wonder what he's going to make them for dinner later. Their mind is not wandering to the past and regretting, like, oh man, I really could have been nicer to my sister back in the 12th grade. Like, she really needed there's none of this. None of this future projection or past digging up. They're completely enamored and accepting in the present moment. They're fully here. And I like how he says the wonder of the present moment. There's so much wonder, there's so much beauty to be uncovered in this now moment that the Arhat is like, and they're not thinking this because there's no thought, but the subconscious belief system running here is, why would I want to be anywhere else? Right now is so amazing. There's this final flowering and understanding that reality is the most loving place for me to be. So I'm going to be here. And, as you who's watching this knows, if you're not an Arhat, it can be very easy sometimes to accept the present moment. When there's a beautiful sun setting in front of you and you're in Hawaii, when you're eating fresh mango during mango season, when you get the job promotion, that's a really easy reality to accept. And then at other times, it's like, wow, my reality is actually so hard to accept right now. Like when a loved one dies, there's this rejection of reality, like, gosh, this just feels so horrible. Or when it's actually really hot outside and you're sweating through your clothes and you're just like, oh, it's very hard to accept reality in these scenarios. So once again, the Arhat accepts all realities, whatever is happening, whether they're getting the job promotion or the loved one is dying. To them, there's an equanimity between all experiences. That does sound enlightened. It is their revelation, their discovery, to rest in the true nature of being and bear witness to the effervescent flow of form becoming more and more complex. It's like they're watching a TV show or an IMAX movie and they're just so, I keep coming back to this word enamored. They're so enamored. They're so tuned in, tapped and turned on. They can't, imagine you're watching such a good movie and you can't take your eyes off the screen. You're just, all of you is going into this movie. When the character starts to cry, you start to cry. When someone jumps, you literally jump. You're so involved in the movie. And it's so beautiful and it's such a great story. And why would you want to get up and go to the kitchen or pause the movie and text Sam? This is how the person embodied in this acidic state is viewing all of life. Like one giant epic IMAX movie that they can't take their eyes off. Maybe it's the 3D kind too, where you have those weird glasses on. I don't know if they still do that in the theaters. Gosh, I haven't been to the movies probably in like 12 years. But you know the movies where they have the 3D glasses. I always liked those. Okay. As we're nearing this end of this chapter, there's a few really beautiful things I've highlighted twice in different colors, which means it's very important. He says, Richard Rudd says that today we are obsessed with evolution, right? We have this gnosis that the bodhisattva is much more important than the arhat, when in reality, they're equals. We are obsessed by evolution. We think that there's always something to be done. And if I'm not doing anything, then I'm not worth anything. Gosh, I mean, I know how that goes. Take a few months off work and you'll know how that feels. And this is because it's constantly thrown at us in societal programming. That if we're not making money, we're not going to work, we're not hanging out with friends, we're not moving around, that something's wrong. He says, being is seen as doing nothing. Taking a lay down is seen as pointless to most people these days. Specifically taking a lay down where you actually don't fall asleep. Just one where you're literally resting, not with your phone, not with a book, just chilling. I do it all the time. I do it once a day at least. But being is seen as doing nothing. And of course, this is not true in reality, right? Being, as we have learned through the arhat, is just as essential as doing. Pick your, I don't want to say poison, pick your solution. Oh, that's funny. Solutions also refers to liquid. Pick your solution. Being is the nature of consciousness in form, and it has no agenda or direction. It's completely content with accepting reality as it is right now. Oof. Oh, I love this line. Okay, I take it back. This is the most important line. This line is so important that I've written it down in like almost every journal I have. And you know, this line is so important. It's highlighted in both the colors once again. And I remember the first time I read this book, I thought, wow. Now this is just one of the best lines I've ever read. So are you paying attention? Nothing has more power than being itself. Nothing. And you know, I could sit here and spew out to you who's watching this why I think that is so phenomenal and speaks so many volumes to me and sediments itself into my soul. But I actually think this line is so powerful, and if it hasn't, for whatever reason, hit you in this moment, nothing has more power than being itself, then I highly advise and recommend you to meditate on this line. Nothing has more power than being itself. Because I have a little inkling that it has nuggets of wisdom for all to align to. Nothing has more power than being itself. And the last thing I will leave you guys with, I'm just going to read this out loud. He says, to rest unattached in the supreme state of being, whilst at the same time participating in the adventure of our evolution, is quite possibly the greatest task that the humans of the future will have to master. Divine laziness. he finally wraps us up with defining the concept. Resting unattached in the supreme state of being, whilst simultaneously, at the same time, participating in the adventure of our own evolution. Balancing these two is divine laziness, is surrender, is the greatest task for all of us to start to get online with. Good luck. Good luck for all of us, honestly. I mean, yep. So that's all for Gene Key 10, being at ease. I don't know about you, but I think I'm going to take a lay down with my eyes open right now without any distraction. Start to practice what I am reading about in this Gene Key book. I will see you guys next time. Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in with me for this Gene Keys episode. I also just wanted to come on here and start promoting my one-to-one coaching that I offer to women and girls ages 16 to 35. If you've followed me on Instagram for a while, you might be a little bit familiar with my story. I was a model in New York City for 5 years, and in that time frame, I did quite some damage. I developed a really severe eating disorder, body dysmorphia, chronic anxiety. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even go out to dinner without thinking about how much calories, how much I'd have to overwork out in order to compensate for what I was eating. All of those issues led to quite a depression and turned into PCOS, and I also lost my menstrual cycle for over 5 years. All of this amalgamation of issues led me to soon realize that something needed to change. I went through much work. Many people helped me to get to where I am now, and I'm so thrilled to say I'm living such a more abundant life, and I don't feel zapped and drained and fear of judgment anymore like I used to. I would love to offer what I've learned through my own embodied experience, the meditative techniques that have gravitated toward me, and the own verified games that I've made up and curated to help you walk home to more of you and who you really are, so that all of these things can stop draining your energy. You know, all the constant comparison to others and to your people on Instagram, all the over-analysis about working out and what you're eating or what you look like. All of these things are not what life's about, as cheesy as it sounds. And I would love to help you come into more unity with you if you struggle with any of these things and you're a woman or girl between the ages of 16 and 35. So feel free to reach out to me if one-on-one coaching sounds resonant. You can feel free to DM me through Instagram or contact me via email, both of which will be left below in the description box. So much love and aloha to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.